Thank you for joining me today on Leading Today with Dr. Lisa Bagby. I'm your host, Dr. Lisa Bagby. And today I'm going to do a bonus episode for you because I know many of you are in the middle of or soon to start your performance and development processes. But I want to talk to you today about your P&D. Think of it as rewiring your organization. So I'm going to start with something that might feel a little uncomfortable. Most performance and development processes are not designed to improve performance, they're designed to document it. And those are two very different things. Documentation is about the past, leadership is about the future. Yet every year, leaders across organizations sit down, open a form, and spend hours describing what already happened. But let me ask you a different question. What if P&D isn't supposed to look backward at all? What if it's actually your most underutilized tool to shape what happens next and how you, as the leader, can change your organization? That's a thought. But here's the lie that P&D is about evaluating employees. It's not. P&D is actually a reflection of something much bigger. What your organization rewards, what your leaders tolerate, and what your culture truly values beyond the posters or the monikers on the wall. Because here's the truth: if it shows up in a performance conversation, it gets attention. If it gets attention, it gets repeated. And if it gets repeated, it becomes culture. So when leaders treat P&D like a checklist, they're not just doing anything special, really. They're just missing an opportunity, but they are actually accidentally reinforcing the wrong behaviors at scale. So I want to challenge you with this: a radical reframe. Let's go outside the box. Think about P&D less like an evaluation and more like a control panel. A control panel that can create change. And it's not control in the sense of authority, it's control in the sense of influence, because through influence is how we make change. Every question you ask, every goal you approve, every behavior you recognize. These are not neutral actions, they are signals. And those signals tell your team this is what matters here. So if your P&D process is asking safe surface level questions, you're going to get safe surface level performance. Most leaders think their role in P&D is to assess, but the most effective leaders understand their role is to architect, to design. You're not just reviewing performance, you are designing how people think, how they prioritize, how they define success, how they show up for others. And that is not HR work, that's leadership at its highest level. But let me challenge you with this. What if you banned the most common P&D questions? No more, did you meet your goals? Where can you improve? What are your development areas? Not because those questions are wrong, but because they're predictable. And predictable questions get predictable answers. Instead, what if your P&D conversation sounded like this? Where did you create dependency instead of capability? What problem did you solve that actually shouldn't exist in the first place? What did you normalize this year that we should question? Now you're not just evaluating performance, you are disrupting thinking. Now, here's a mindset shift. Most P&D conversations focus on how well someone did their job, but innovative leaders ask a different question. Should this job even look like this anymore? Because sometimes the issue isn't the person, it's the design, the workflow, the structure, the expectations. Imagine using P&D to identify outdated processes or unnecessary approvals or work that adds no value. Now, P&D becomes a tool for operational excellence, not just individual performance. But most performance systems reward competence. Did you deliver? Did you execute? Did you meet expectations? But in complex, evolving organizations, competence alone is not enough. You also need the courage to challenge, the courage to innovate, and the courage to speak up. So, what if you asked, where did you take a risk that improved how we work? Or, where did you challenge a norm that needed to change? Or maybe you ask, where did you stay silent and why? Now you are measuring something far more powerful than performance. You are measuring leadership behavior at every level. So here's another truth. Most P&D processes quietly reinforce a hierarchy. The leader evaluates, the employee receives. But high performing teams don't operate that way. They operate with shared accountability. So instead of asking, what could you have done better? Try asking, where did I, as your leader, make your performance harder? That question does two things immediately: it builds trust and it models ownership. Because when leaders step into accountability, teams follow. But let's take this one step further. If your entire team exceeded expectations this year, but your culture didn't improve, your collaboration didn't improve, and your outcomes didn't significantly shift, then I would argue your P&D process failed. Because performance without progress is just repetition. What if we define success differently? Not by how many forms were completed, but by what changed. After your P&D cycle, did your priorities shift? Did behaviors evolve? Did new ideas emerge or did ownership deepen? If the answer is no, then P&D was an exercise in documentation, not transformation. So here's the challenge I want to leave leaders with. The next time you approach P&D, don't ask, how do I complete this process well? Ask, what do I want to be different on my team 6 months from now? And how will I use this conversation to make that happen? Because that's the real opportunity. P&D is not the work. It's the entry point to the work. So I want to say this. We often say that culture is shaped by what leaders say and do, but there's something even more specific. Culture is shaped by what leaders formalize consistently. And P&D is one of the most formalized leadership practices in any organization. So if you want to change culture, if you want to elevate performance, if you want to build stronger, more accountable, more innovative teams, don't start with a new initiative. Start with how you show up in your next P&D conversation. Because when leaders change the conversation, they don't just change performance, they change the system. They change the system. Until next time, thank you for joining me. It's Dr. Lisa Bagby here at Leading Today. Please like, subscribe, and share this particular episode with a leader who you know and trust who may be embarking on the performance and development process. And until our next episode, keep leading forward. Thank you for joining me today on Leading Today.